minutes. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 402 of the HHH Racing Podcast. We're off to a rip-roaring start. Sorry about the little camera issue there. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz. Thanks for joining us tonight as we are here to cover what's going to be part of an incredible weekend. We're going to be at Arkansas this weekend for this particular preview, but I mean, you got the huge Gulfstream Park Florida Derby card, which we've covered like a glove over two different videos here this week. So please check those out. But tonight we're here to talk about Oaklawn Park and the Arkansas Derby late pick 5, and what a late pick 5 it's going to be. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the bottom right hand side of the screen. We're now over 5,000 subscribers. Pretty damn proud of that. But now our goal is to get to 10. We know it's going to take a little bit of time, but please make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell on the top right-hand side of YouTube, because we got a lot of shows coming up, and smash that like button underneath the video player. We would greatly appreciate that. We got a lot going on. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. We're going to talk about a very special tip sheet that you've heard about on the show if you're a follower of our email list, but some of you may not be aware. We'll get to that in just a little bit, but we still have our regular tip sheet as well that is rocking and rolling for over 4 years. Please check that out. We got a great website, which we're going to show you later in the show, hhhracingpodcast.com. And of course, we are sponsored by the Adelphi Racing Club, who they've got a bunch of runners. Actually, they've got one nice runner running at Gulfstream, a horse named Sakaya, a Euro import that they recently purchased, which is we talked about on the show Tuesday night. But go to Adelphi. Their website is adelphiracing.com. All right, let me bring on my fantastic co-hosts who are going to help me sift through a pretty darn difficult Oaklawn late pick 5 in beautiful Hot Springs, Arkansas. The infield is going to be open. The weather is going to be, I can't really talk about it when Pete and Paul are on, but it's about 50-50 chance of rain, but it's going to be warm. We'll see. Paul's giving me the signal that he's ready to go, I believe, in the background. Let's bring him on. I mean, it was one finger. I think that means, wait a minute, I'm not sure. Let's bring him on from the Saratoga Special and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the spicy Paul Halloran. And there we go, 5,000. I love it. And from the East Coast of Maryland, is he rooting for his home state team tonight? I don't know. Let's find out. Mr. Pete Visco. Guys, how are we doing tonight?
What's up, gents? Paul?
Pete, we want him to lose so we can get Kevin Willett off to Villanova tomorrow morning.
Let's get that done quick. Yeah, that's good. Actually, the only thing I care about is Alabama, and they look to be handling some business. I'm in a survivor pool, and I have Alabama for today's pick. So let's go Bama.
Boy, they got 52 points, Pete.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. When they're shooting and scoring, that's when they're at
I do have the over in that game, Pete.
Good. That's a good call always.
Yes, right now, Arkansas, BYU, defense not required, apparently. I actually have Alabama winning the whole thing in our bracket pool that I am not privy to winning because I'm an employee, of course, of the podcast. But I am second right now. I've got Alabama winning the whole thing. I don't know. They can shoot the hell of the ball. They can't defend you, me, or anyone else as of now. Maybe they don't need to. Guys, I'll tell you what we need to do, though, is talk about Arkansas and Oaklawn. Got a huge weekend coming up, of course, with the Arkansas Derby. And one of the more fascinating runners that we've seen, at least in this Derby trail, in Cornucopian, which we'll get to, of course. But they've got a bunch of other real nice races in their late pick 5, including the first race of the pick 5, which is very challenging, maiden special weight mile and eighth, which actually is a lot of fun. So, guys, let's just jump right in. We'll talk about our specialty power picks and Team HHH a little bit later in the show because people are itching to get to our picks for tonight. First, let's bring some comments up real quickly here as I just go to it right now. Let's see. Katie mentioned the fairgrounds. They're going to have to cut purses, perhaps. We'll see. I know Derek Fisher likes when he's not busy watching his LA Lakers and coaching. I'm sure it's not the same guy. That one is spelled with a C, I believe, Paul. But anyway, all hail Cornucopian. Wow. Well, we know who Derek is going. Derek, I'm not sure we've seen your name. Thank you very much for joining the show. Rodney, I know, is a very strong opinion. Bob sweeps the 2 preps this weekend. Wow. West Coast, the best coast. The Derby winner will come from California. Weather, that's from Bob Barn or from McCarthy Barn. I think he means whether or not, I would assume. Robbie Courtney's here from Texas. Good evening. Everyone subscribe. 10,000 subs next. Robbie, really appreciate it. And we saw Robbie, by the way, at the NHC, guys. It was a pleasure to see him. Another new name. We have a lot of guys. We have a lot of new subscribers, and we're getting a lot of attention nationally with the podcast. I couldn't be more happier. John Fortwendell. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, John. Thanks for joining the show. I loved the show last night with Caleb. Well, terrific. Yeah, Caleb Keller, guys, with the B&B boys covering the late pick 5 in Florida at Gulfstream. Boy, that is a very tough sequence. By the way, we got Terry Frank is here. Delmar Dennis is here, even though we're covering Oaklawn, but, you know, he's a big horse racing fan. Look who's here from Japan, Konnichiwa. What's up, Dave Duncan? I don't know. Good morning. So it's the morning there in Japan. We got people watching from literally all over the world, Pete. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, this is crazy, right? I mean, it doesn't. I don't know if that counts as much, but you know, we'll still take it. We like new people. We welcome everyone into the chat. Welcome.
Joseph Mazzola representing the Italian brothers and sisters out there, along with a lot of other people. Belmont Joe, exit light, enter night, enter Sandman. If you know music, you know where he's going with that. Apparently he likes Sandman in the Arkansas Derby. All right, guys, let's jump in right now. Late pick 5. I actually have to bring up something real quick here. As I do that, Paul, first impressions of the late pick 5 at Oaklawn on Saturday.
Very challenging, as you pointed out. You know, I guess if you think Cornucopia is the real deal, but you know that would seem like a tough spot to put all your eggs in that basket. I liked the 2 overnights, the Eclipse and the American Pharaoh. I thought both came up very good, and I think in the Oaks, their version of the Oaks, the Fantasy, you know, I think you can go more than one direction there. So I think it's a pretty challenging sequence.
I would agree with that. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens. Let's get into it. Late pick 5 starts at Oaklawn. You can see on the screen, approximately 4:53 Eastern. It's a maiden special weight, $110,000, mile and 1/8. So this is not your typical, 3-year-old maiden special weight race at this time of year. You see a lot of 6 furlongs, maybe mile 16. This is a mile and 1/8, and Pete, this is a race I think we really got to pay attention to, because there are horses coming out of the Cornucopian race. And I guess my first question, because I was thinking about this a lot, gentlemen, is how much can we glean from this race versus Cornucopian? Because although Zero Sugar, the 3, and Oiga Vault, the 4, are coming out of that race, maybe some others I can't recall, that was only 6 furlongs. So if the 3 and 4 don't run well, Pete, you could argue that it was the distance and not the quality of the race. That's going to be a very interesting discussion after this race is over when we talk about the Arkansas Derby.
Yeah. I don't know how much. I don't really take, like, if they both lose, I'm not going to look at Cornucopian any differently, at least going into that race, just because he just buried them. I mean, he made it look really easy. It wasn't much of a race. So whatever they do, obviously, I think if they run well, you're going to be a little bit more confident. Say you're going in and you're looking to single Cornucopian, maybe that gives you a little bit more confidence to go skinny. But I don't know, if they lose and he runs well, I don't think that would be too surprising.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. Now, you look on the bottom of the screen, you see our picks. I'm going 4-8-7. Pete's going 8-4-3. Paul's going 4-3-8. We're all thinking similarly. And you know what, guys? We're all also thinking similarly about 2 longer shots. The number 8, Zardoon, and Paul Halloran, my buddy. We look at this 20-1 shot. We're like, things to like about the number 7, possibly, and not just because he's a New York bred. We'll talk about Iron Dome in just a bit. But Pete, let's go with you. You're going with Zardoon. I love the pick, Pete. I almost put this one on top. The number 8 Zardoon is Cox and Flavian, who's in to ride for the day, 10-1. Talk about this very interesting horse.
Yeah, it's a, well, it's a funny one. It was more at first. It was more. I thought you could make some cases against the 3 and the 4, which we'll talk about them when you guys talk about the 4 specifically, and I'm sure we'll talk about both of them. I thought they were a little bit vulnerable, and now you're getting a horse at 10-1 here. The last race wasn't very good, and there wasn't much of a, he didn't do much late. But what I liked was that seemed to be a speed favoring track. The he was just sort of stuck a little further back probably than you hope. They're putting the blinkers on. Now they're switching to Pratt, who I assume will give a better ride. You see that March 23rd, you get the nice bullet work in a minute and 4. I just think that there's probably more to this horse. You look at the debut, yeah, that was going 6 furlongs, but lost to Furio, who wound up coming back in whatever race that was. Was that the, I forget what that race that was last week, but Furio had moved up to graded stakes. Then the Cox Pratt combo, 5 for 6 maiden special weight dirt routes in the past year, and 44% win, 78% in the money maiden special weights on dirt in the past year. That was Cox. I'm just looking at it going, there's just a lot to like. And I just think the 3 and the 4 might be a little compromised. And anytime I can get Pratt and I can get a horse that I think the last race you can make excuses for, maybe because of the pace, because he was a little bit too far back. Now I think we're getting a pretty decent jockey upgrade who hopefully the blinkers will get this horse involved a little bit earlier.
Agree. This horse costs $350. He's a city.
Oh yeah, and that too. Yeah,
he's a City of Light colt. He looks very rangy and long-winded. I know the dam breeding doesn't really necessarily say that, but the way he runs, Pete, looks like he can run all day. I'm sure he's a work in progress for Cox, but the presence of Flavian here really paid. We're almost paying the Flavian tax these days, though, guys. I mean, this horse is not going to be 10-1 because of Flavian, and rightly so, because he's a good jockey. I agree with you. I don't have much to add to what you said, Pete. I think he's interesting. Paul, you and I are both going to go with the number 4, and if you're a member of the tribe like I am, you know what Oi Gewalt is. It is Yiddish for like, oh my goodness, or oh my gosh, whatever. Oi Gewalt ran very well last time. I think he's very logical, Paul, and I really like that he got 2 turns last time for DeVito, who I've talked about on the show many times, is excellent and underrated.
Yeah, I agree, Howard. That was my question with the 3. The 3 is going to take money based on the losing to Cornucopian, although the 4 lost to him 2 races back. But true. I like the fact that, as you said, the 4 showed it when stretching out. I thought the ride was okay. I didn't think there was anything drastically wrong with it. I think he'll get a better ride Saturday from the Red Hot Jose Ortiz. I just thought with the 3, it is stretching out, and there's not a lot of distance on the dam side. I did, I'm sure you did as well. Took a look into the dam side pedigree, and certainly leaning more towards sprint than a mile and an eighth. I also, Howard, liked this Oi Gewalt horse. I think the fact that they debuted him at 7 furlongs is a little bit of an indication. That's a tough distance to debut at. That really says that they're thinking it's a distance horse. I see you're nodding your head, and I always like it when I please you, so I'm very happy to see that. It means I did good for my uncle. So I just think, and it's, maybe no surprise that the morning line in the 4 is actually a little lower than the 3 coming right off the Cornucopian race. So, I think you got to, it's likely going to be one of them. And I think I wanted the 4 over the 3. I'd be inclined to use the 4 and try to beat the 3.
Yeah, I didn't love the way the 3 ran in the debut. I mean, people were like, Howard, you're crazy. You finished second to Cornucopian. He was on the wrong lead. His breeding doesn't say so. He's going to take a lot of money here. He's just this is a very long distance race. I'm going to let Zero Sugar beat me in general. I'm going to use him very, very defensively. Now, a horse that we got to talk about here, Paul, is the number 7, because we both somehow have this horse, Iron Dome, for Asmussen riding, Eric, son, who won the Eclipse Award. This horse did very little running, Paul, but this horse costs $500,000 and is bred to go long, and it felt like that last race was to give the horse one. I think there's something here. I have no idea if he can win, but the works are much improved from what they were before. he's putting this horse in, Paul, on Arkansas Derby Day. There's just a lot of things $500,000. There's just a lot of things I like about Iron Dome. And if he wins, he's going to completely blow up the sequence to start it. We both have him third.
Well, I actually don't have him third, but I'll take credit if he runs.
Oh,
I have
I'm
the
sorry.
8th.
Oh, okay. My bad.
But,
well, go ahead.
But
anyway.
I like it. I like all your points, and I love of course, the fact that he's a New York bred. I'll have me rooting for him. And I did not see it. According to this, he was fractious in the post parade, which is never a good thing.
No,
especially for a first. It's not unusual for a first-time starter, but it's not good. So that's expending energy, and I think there's something to what you said, Howard. After being at many of these big race days, people don't debut horses on these days by accident. Travers Day. Just look at the horses that have come out of Travers Day. I just read couple of the Derby horses debuted in the same race on, I think, Travers or Whitney Friday. So it's just not a coincidence. So yeah, and Asmussen, of course, called this shot with Tistastic last weekend, and look how that worked out. So he's hot, not hot at Oaklawn, by the way, but he's always hot, and he will be on my horizontal grid.
Yeah, he's not debuting, actually. He's a second-time starter.
Yeah, that's you know what I meant. Yeah.
I know what you meant. Pete, it just feels like you don't want to take chalk in this kind of race because it's a 1 1/8, and some of these horses could really jump up or step backward based on the distance here.
Yeah, I didn't mean debuting. Excuse me. I just meant that they run on this day. Maybe.
I understand.
Pete, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I because I had the same doubts about the 3 that you guys did. I like the 4 a little bit more, which is why I had the 4 in second. But I don't look at the 4 and think that the 4 can't be beat. So I think the odds are going to be a little low. And I think I had your 7 too, Howard. As my note was just a sneaky board horse. So I didn't necessarily like him for the win end, but I thought if you can get that price, and like I said, if we can get the 8 to win, even if you get like the 4 in second and you could sneak the 7 in. Now you're in business, especially you're playing a try or something, back wheeling or something like that.
Exactly, Pete. That's exactly how I'm going to play the race. Let's go on to race 10, guys. It's the Eclipse Overnight. It's not graded, but it's a $145,000 6 furlong race. It's a nice field of 10. The Moorline favorite is number 5, Wendelson, creative name. Of course, this horse is by Mendelson, Hartman, and T.W. Bacon. What a great story this kid has been at the Oaklawn meet. I say kid, he's still a teenager, doing very well there. And we're not messing around, guys. We're going with the Bacon. I'm going 5-2-6. Pete's going 5-6-4. Paul's going 5-4-10. Paul Wendelson is just very logical and fits and just seems best in here. Although it's a big field, so obviously doesn't lay over the field, but he just seems awfully logical.
Yeah, he's actually my best bet of the sequence, Howard.
Oh.
And I think people should pay attention to the condition because it's the same condition in this race and the next race, just different distances. But it's for horses who haven't won a stakes in 24 or 25. So you're going to see a lot of horses on the page with a lot of graded stakes starts, and they are automatically going to take money, and in many cases, more money than they should. In some cases, it will be justified, but this is the example of the now horse, if you will. And you say, well, he ran second to Booth. Well, Booth came back. Booth ran a 105 in that race and came back and ran a 107 in the Whitmore. So so Wendelson runs a 95, but second to a no doubt winner who came back and ran even better. And I just think this is the inform horse. And I thought the next race was the more challenging of the two as far as the handicapping point of view. I think there are other horses who can win this race, but I'll be a lot narrower in this race than the next one.
I agree, Paul. I don't know if he's going to have the lead, Pete, but it doesn't look like he needs the lead. I just showed the time form pace figs. There's really not much to say here. It's there are some other horses I'm interested in, which we'll talk about in a minute, but I don't know if you want to add anything. I have nothing to add. I think Wendelson is very good right now.
Yeah, I did like the fact that I don't think he's not a need the lead type, which is nice. So from that position, Bacon can sort of make the decision. Do I just sit off? Depends who goes. But I do think if you put this horse on the lead, could probably win this race too. So I think we have a lot of options with this one, and the form, like Paul said, the form is just hard to argue against.
Very good. There's a horse that, again, I've talked about time form a lot, guys. Number 2, Just Steel, 12-1 for the coach, I think is fascinating here, guys. And I think if he gets the right trip and fires his best, he can win. He was in all the big dances last year. I know he didn't run well, but he was in the big dances. He's 0 for 6 on this track. However, he was in some really tough spots, guys, in a lot of stake races like the Southwest and the Arkansas Derby. So I think, 3 seconds, I'm sure he likes the track. I thought he ran pretty big 2-back off the layoff in a ridiculously fast pace. And then last time he was stuck down inside and maybe just doesn't want to go the distance. Maybe he is a sprinter. And I've talked about this on this show. And I got to be honest, guys, it's been really good for me. And I have to congratulate Craig Mulkowski and the guys at Time Form. Because when you look at the Time Form numbers, it's, again, we're looking at this furthest right number. The one in sort of orange are the dirt numbers. Check out Just Steel, guys. He's got a 123, by the way, in the Arkansas Derby. But lately, 116, 117, 114. You're like, well, Wendelson's got to be much better than that, right? No. I mean, this is fascinating, guys. If you believe in time form, like I do, Just Steel is going to be 3 or 4 times the price, is just as fast, guys, as Wendelson. I mean, again, if you don't believe in time form, then that's fine. That's, it's up to you, because by the buyers, Wendelson is better than Just Steel. But we've seen this game before, Pete, and I don't think you can be stuck on one particular speed fig. I think, I will throw myself on the sword and say that I was a little too buyer heavy with my analysis, and I'm looking at other ones, and it's been helpful for me lately. So I think Just Steel is an interesting one. Pete, you also like, let's see, Ninja Warrior, who beat Just Steel and is in form also.
Yeah, I think the thing with Just Steel, I agree with everything you said. I kind of had him as a B right off the board, but I just wish he would have ran. I know the trips weren't advantageous in the last 2, but I just wish he would have ran a little bit better just to show some improvement from last year. That was the thing that kept holding me back for him. Ninja Warrior sort of, well, he's a 6-year-old, so not that, but he's even come back in his 6-year-old season and shown some improvement, which you like to see, especially when they get a little older. You don't know if there's anything left for them to move up. You may like they hit their ceiling maybe, but I think this one, his only bad races on the page really are on wet tracks. So that's the only thing. Maybe if it comes up a little wet, maybe you don't love him, but if it comes up fast, and I don't know if his best race is good enough to beat Wendelson, but I do think it's good enough if Wendelson doesn't fire. It's good enough against the rest of the field. So that's the way I was looking at it. So I like him at least to hit the board, if nothing else.
Any quick thoughts, Paul, on Osborne or the number 10 horse you have in the mix?
I think both have a shot to make the board, and I think Just Steel is one of those horses I was talking about in my earlier comments that is going to be overbet. So keep talking him up, please.
Okay.
Nice.
I just think I could single Wendelson in the pick 5, just go for it. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I just think Just Steel is interesting. And
yeah, but he's not going to be 12-1, Howard.
I'm sorry?
He's not going to be 12-1 with the Kentucky Derby line and Arkansas Derby.
But as we've discussed, in the pick 5, he's going to play a lot bigger than he's going to go all
Correct.
at. And boy, D. Wayne just has a knack of winning on these big days. It's just
he does.
He's just absolutely incredible. What is he over? He's 90 now, Paul. I mean,
I think he's 89. Still gets on a horse every morning.
It's absolutely crazy. I mean,
but to my credit, I get in my car every morning.
Yeah, I mean, Peter, I was just going to say he's only a few years older than Paul. I mean, it's really quite amazing. It's just really,
wow.
Anyway,
he certainly looks better. I can tell you that.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but let's go on to race 11, guys. Race 11 is the aptly named American Pharoah Overnight, 145,000, mile 16th. Paul, you already touched a little bit. You thought this race was tougher and deeper than the previous one. Has similar restriction stake horses who've not won. I shouldn't say stake horse. Horse have not won a stake this year. It's an overnight. Moyline favorite. It's completely wide open. They're going to Maycox Bay, the number 7, for Stidham and Ben Curtis at 3-1. You see our picks on the bottom of the screen. We're not huge fans of that horse lease on top. I'm going 134. Pete's going 179. Look at Paul, same top two as me, 137. We're all going with Bishop's Bay, Pete, who decided to go here instead of the New Orleans handicap last week when Touch Upon a Star ran a hole in the wind. Maybe the connections knew something because this spot seems more logical. I don't see Bishop's Bay running a 108 buyer like Touch Upon a Star did last weekend.
No, it's funny. I actually liked him a little bit, but more in the third spot. I thought he could contend for the third spot in that race, but here I think he's got a pretty good shot. You see, he likes the track. He's twice over the track. He's got a first and a second at the distance, 3 for 4. He gets Pratt again, and he's super tactical, and he came back like he had. If you look at just from a figure standpoint, time form buyer, he hasn't jumped up. He's just sort of stayed consistent. But that consistent is in this field. That consistent is near the top of the field. So as long as he fires that, then I think we're in good shape. I like from the one hole. I think Pratt has a few different options. Does he go a little bit, or if someone goes from the outside, he can sit with this horse. This horse can pass. You see 3 back. Again, he was probably better than those horses, but at least he's done it. He sat off. He's passed horses. He's won. Loses Lasix, but he ran 2 seconds in graded stakes races off Lasix. So hopefully that's not a concern. He actually ran his 2 best buyers, 2 of his top buyers with no Lasix. So that's not a concern, which is a concern generally in other horses on these big days. But I just think there's a lot to like. And if you can get a price at 7-2 with this horse, who I still think has upside, boy, I think that would be really nice.
Yeah, and he's with inside post. I think that gives Pratt some options. He'll just break and look to his right in this case and see what happens. He's very likable. I have nothing to add there. Paul, let's talk about the number 3, Ben Duke. Now, Paul, that I've been a bit against this horse when he's in certain races he's been entered. And they've had some issues deciding where to go with him. But he ran well last time in an allowance against Disarm. Actually, very well. I probably should give him more credit. It looks like that he hasn't lost much from last year. It's Mott, it's Johnny V. He's also very logical. Probably, I think he'd be best served to be a little off the pace, maybe, but I'm sure Johnny V's just going to read the break, Paul, and just see where he is.
It's interesting. I know he was in the sequence we talked about last week and ended up being scratched. And I remember saying, that I think they'll go back to riding him in the way he, a little forward. I agree with you, though, in this spot, Howard. I think he will be able to come off of it. Yeah. He's kind of a one-paced horse to some degree, and Johnny V does well with those horses. Doesn't ride for Mott all that much, but it is Frank Fletcher, who I know would love to win on Arkansas Derby Day. That's Frank's home territory there. I liked this horse last week, and I certainly think this horse is going to be right in the mix here. I don't know if he's going to win, but I think he's definitely going to be in the picture at the end.
In a weird way, I wish this was a 1 1/8. I still think it's a little better going longer, but he's very logical. It's also logical and fantastic. Abdi Dini on the bottom of the screen, another new name. Hi all, greetings from Toronto. Wow, all right, we love our Canadians. Maybe he'll talk to Sylvain and they'll have a nice dinner together somewhere. Sylvain, not from Toronto, but from Canada. Best horse racing podcast. Wow, thank you very much, Abdi. We agree, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you, Abdi. Really appreciate that. Looking forward to Woodbine starting, by the way, pretty soon. Paul, any other thoughts, or Pete? And I think we'll just move on. There is other speed. I like Magic Tap to maybe clunk up and maybe get more than a piece. I think this is a very pace-dependent kind of race. If it heats up, Magic Tap, who probably needed one last time, guys, off a long break, it has a ton of good numbers on the go back. So I'm a little bit interested in Magic Tap underneath.
There's a lot of love for liberal arts. There's some love for liberal arts in the chat there.
Liberal arts. It's a horse we've talked about on this show as well. Yeah. For Giroux, who's I'm a little down on him lately, but liberal arts has numbers. What about Anna Marie coming back here, Paul?
Pete's horse. I mentioned the divorce is official.
I put him in third just for old time's sake, just to just in case. I don't know what that horse is going to do. He was disappointing at the end of the year. There's not like a super hot pace expected here. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope he runs well just because I like the horse, but I wouldn't have confidence in him on the top, but I'd be pissed if he won the race and knocked me out of the pick 5. So I assume he'll be on my ticket just for sanity's sake, if nothing else. Maycox Bay, by the way, we didn't really talk about, but that horse was in super great form, then goes to the 2 graded stakes races and loses to Hit Show and Hall of Fame. So nothing to be disgraced about there. So he's actually getting a little bit of class relief. And I don't know if, Paul, that was one in your little graded stakes that you were talking about, but I mean, he ran well. And now he's getting a little bit of a softer spot. So I just think he's interesting. And I mean, that's why he's the favorite.
I think 3-1 could be a touch low. You know, I know those are graded stakes, but he was well into double digits. But he's a solid B for me. And back to Honor Marie, Pete, Whit Beckman is 38% blinkers off.
That's nice. That is nice. I don't know if the blinkers. I don't know what you need. I don't know what this horse needs to help him out. But
yeah, they thought this horse was a little too forward, so they had to take the blinkers.
They're like, he was within 18 lengths last time. They don't want that to happen again.
Wow. I'll tell you what I think he needs, guys. I think he needs the start. I'm using him very defensively. He just feels like he wants to go longer, and this is a means to an end. I'm not sure what they're looking at for their next race, but I just off this long layoff on a speed favoring kind of track. If he wins, I'd be really impressed.
Yeah, if I was just straight handicapping, I wouldn't play him. I just can't have him off the ticket just because we talk about him. I talk about him so much on the show. I'll just be pissed.
Yep. Rodney, who is obviously a thoroughgraph guy, mentioned the Liberal Arts ran a 0 on the thoroughgraphs at some point. So he likes Liberal Arts. We both have chased that horse, Pete, actually, in the past.
I liked him last. I liked him last out, and that was disappointing.
Let's go to the fantasy, guys. The fantasy is the Kentucky Oaks Prep for, of course, the first Friday in May. This is a grade 2. It's got a lot of points for the Oaks. $750,000. Wow, is the purse. Mile and a 16th, of course, for the girls. The Moyline's interesting because the Moyline has his 2 horses, basically a 2-horse race between Simply Joking, very likable horse for Beckman, who's been off a little bit, Pennsylvania bred, and the number 5 Quiet Side for John Ortiz and Jose Ortiz. Let's see who we're going to go with here in this big race for the ladies right now. There we go. I'm going 517. Pete's going 175. Paul's going 517. Oh, my buddy Paul. We went with the same 3, Paul. How about that? It looks like it's a 3-horse race to me. I have a very strong opinion here. I will hold off until the end. Pete, I love your pick. Love your pick. Take Charge, Milady. McPeak, Hernandez, a somewhat juicy 6-1. If you throw out her last race, which I'm doing for better or for worse, she's very logical in this spot. Gets a great post. Lots to like about Take Charge, Milady, in my opinion.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I liked her last time, and everything went wrong. We don't need to watch the start. It wasn't that exciting, but it was just enough to where you see she was 13th, and that's not where she wants to be. She wants to be sitting just off, relatively close, 3rd, 4th, somewhere around there, mid-pack at the worst, I think.
Well, I think we should watch it because people are going to wonder, Pete, like, why? I mean, what happens? So
let's just
watch the start.
There are 3 horses in it, so it's not.
Watch the 6, Take Charge, Milady, who is not a speed horse, but certainly is, likes to stalk, and we'll see. There's a huge field here. Just got pinched right there, and it wasn't bad, but now she's taking dirt. You see she's climbing there with her fronts. You see that, and just never looked comfortable. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but just that's not where she wants to be.
No, so that to me, that's one of those where you can completely toss the race. Now I hate because a lot of times people doing what we do, they toss races because they want to make a case for their horse. I think in this one, you just say, you have to look at it and say, do I just toss it or do I just hold it against her and then I'm just out? But I'm going to toss it because I thought before that, and the reason why I liked her last time, she was just getting better and better. And I thought she won those 2 prior races so impressively. She was sweeping. I just loved the moves that she made. And I just think this time, if we can get her back, and I like the move to Hernandez, McPeak, McPeak jockey changing to Hernandez in graded stakes, especially at Oaklawn, is really nice move. So I think everything, I'm going to give her another shot because I don't think the favorites are so unbeatable, but I think they're going to take a pretty good amount of money.
Yeah, I agree. And it's not to me that Take Charge Milady can't take dirt. I just don't think she wants to be that far back. And she's been working really well here, guys and ladies. And this is a major jockey switch, Paul, to Brian Hernandez. McPeak's go-to guy on the biggest stage, working very well. Again, that race was a total toss. You've got her second as well. But we both are going to go with the number 5 Quiet Side, who surprised me a little bit, Paul, because she was up closer than normal from the 12 hole and followed 5G and went by her. This is a horse by Malibu Moon out of a Spitesound mare called Benner Island. She's getting better. She ran a big race. I got to tell you, I think Good Cheer is going to be 4 to 5 or even money and very tough to beat in the Oaks. If Quiet Side wins again Saturday and does it nicely, this might be my Oaks pick. I think she's coming around, Paul. I'm starting to warm up to Quiet Side a lot.
This is a really, really good filly. And if you want to spend some time looking for her bad race, you're not going to find one on the page. Loses to Immersive twice, Good Cheer once, does get beat by Take Charge Milady, which adds a little to that horse's resume. Jose Ortiz second time around on her, and obviously I think that will be his Oaks mount. I like this horse a lot, and I think I know what your strong opinion is going to be, and I think I'm going to agree with you.
Yeah, and by the way, I just texted you something, Paul, that I know it's gonna.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Yeah. Now everyone wants we're to keep it. We're not going to say what. We're not going to say what that's about. But yeah, I love the private texting in the middle of the live show and leaving everyone in the dark. People are pissed at home. Sorry.
Yeah,
I would appreciate the text because I'm in the dark now.
Well, the only reason I sent it to you, Pete, is because there's a reference regarding something that Paul does on the side in his.
No,
life. So
I know. I'm just messing with you.
Well, actually, you did get it because it was in our. Well, anyway, forget it. Anyway, Pete,
I was saying, Pete, Howard, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to agree with your strong opinion when you get to it, I think.
Oh, actually, I sort of got to it all right, Paul, and that is I like Take Charge Milady quite a bit here. I know I'm picking
thought it was
Quiet Side.
Anti-simply joking.
Oh,
opinion.
No doubt. No, I don't. This is weird, Pete. Right? Like, we talked about simply joking. I think we did the show for the Silver Bullet Day. I think I'm not the only one that liked her. I think one of you guys liked her too because she won her debut in a stake race. Look, Whitworth Beckman's really good, guys. He's an up and comer. I just don't understand this long layoff. Now she's working really well. She feels like she's in the lead.
There was a physical issue. She was supposed to run before this.
Oh, go ahead, Paul. You've more intel than
I do. I'm not sure when I read about it when I was doing my handicapping.
All right.
Well, she scratched out of that was the 15th of February. She scratched out of the Rachel Alexandra.
That's it.
Okay. Well, I'm not a big fan of that. And she could probably rate and win, but boy, 8 to 5 morning line is in this field. It seems awfully silly to me. I'm going to use her very defensively, Pete. I'm assuming you feel the same way. Actually, maybe not. You got her second. I could.
No, because I liked like you said, I liked her last time. I think I liked her. I don't remember when we talked about the Rachel. I think I might have liked her. I don't remember the field off the top of my head, but I think I even liked her in there.
Yeah.
She looks like a quality horse if everything is right. And then the one thing you have to, if you're on her side, you look at the works, and the last 3 works are solid. So especially 3 back and then the last one. So she's rounding into form. This is a tough field. Whit Beckman, by the way, he's only 1 for 25 in graded stakes, so he hasn't gotten his sea legs yet at the top level. But he's had some good horses who are knocking on the door, so it's only a matter of time, I think. And this could be one of them. I just don't know. I agree with you, Howard. This is a tough spot coming off the layoff if there was a physical issue, but at least the works are showing that she seems sharp again. And if she's sharp and she can move forward, she's pretty darn good.
She is. I'm just not sure I love this spot here. I have way too much respect for Chris Couples, not to mention the 9 Princess Aaliyah, who's 12 on morning line. Here he is. It's the coach again. One last time. This seems like a big step up, but I think the coach is not impossible and should sit a nice trip off of perhaps the 7. So Princess Aaliyah is a horse that is fancied by Chris Couples. All right, guys, interesting race. We'll see what happens. I think Pete and I would definitely like to see the 1 run well in this race for Mr. McPeak. All right, guys, this is the big one. This is the big one that we're going to talk about. Let me take the banner off the screen. And before we do that, let's get into very quickly what's going on with our power picks. And Pete, it's very exciting. We have something called Team HHH, which runs through the end of 2025. You guys, not sure you guys know this, we've already had a bunch of people subscribe for Team HHH.
Oh, beautiful.
Very exciting. Pete, since you pretty much run not the pod, I'm sure you'd like to run the podcast, or maybe
no,
not.
thank you. you can have it.
Oh, thanks. The website.
You do all the work. Yeah, you can do all the work.
The website. Why don't you talk about where people can sign up for Team HHH and just very quickly what it's about, Pete? I'll bring it up right now.
Yeah, so if you go to the website, as you see here, hhhracingpodcast.com, nice and easy. If you click on Power Picks tip sheets there, that little thing, you go to Specialty Power Picks. And we could scroll down and you could sort of see it here, so I don't have to give all the details. But basically, when you join Team HHH, you see everything you get on the screen here. We're talking Keeneland Spring Meet Power Picks, International Power Picks, going from, I think, April all the way through December from Davey Lane, who's fantastic on our shows. You get Kentucky Oaks, Kentucky Derby Power Picks. You're getting Breeders' Cup. You're getting all kind of meets. And you're saving. So basically, you're getting the Breeders' Cup picks and the Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks picks for free, which is, $100 plus value or close to it. So I think it's a fantastic, it's one of those things where if you do it, then you just don't have to think about it. You don't have to think about signing up. You sign up once. Every time one of these meets comes up, as you can see, Keeneland, Kentucky Oaks, International, Saratoga, Del Mar, Keeneland Fall, Breeders' Cup, all the big ones that everybody's going to want to play. I think that's the best value. But if you don't want to do that, or if it's a little pricey for you, we're doing Keeneland only like we've done in past years. And then if you scroll down a bit, we're doing International only. Again, this is, I think, what is it going to be, about 20 weekends or so?
A little more than 20.
20-something weekends.
Yeah.
And we're talking tracks, multiple tracks all over the world, big days, Davey Lane. There's a video there. So if you want, the International is a little bit different than our regular Power Picks, how it's structured. It's similar to Follow the Jockey, if you paid attention to what Davey did for that. But watch that video. You guys talk about sort of what's going to be included, a little bit more of the details. It's great, though. And then if you're in Team HHH, then you're a part of us. Maybe we'll get some T-shirts made or something at some point.
Yeah, well, there's going to be some special things going on at Team HHH that we'll talk about later. Some chances to meet us in person, meet us online, and in different, get some advice like in real time. We'll talk about it later.
And all the details you need are on that page, so you don't need it from us. Everything you need is on there. Yep. And if you don't understand something, just email Howard and bug him.
There you go. That'd be, do it this week, because next week I go back to school. I'm on spring break
this week.
All right, guys, here's the big one. Look what we got here. I got to remove this. My bad. I wanted to bring up. There we go. That's what I wanted to bring up. How about that, guys? Arkansas Derby. $1.5 million this Saturday. It's a field of 9. You can see on the screen very quickly. Number 1 is Brereton's Baytown, 30-1. Number 2, First Division, 20-1. Number 3, Publisher, 6-1. Number 4, Best Friend Rocket for Frank Fletcher and D. Wayne, 20-1. Speed King, who is exactly that, very fast early, 15-1. Sandman, 3-1. Monet's Magic, 20-1. Cold Battle, 7-2. And Cornucopian, the Buzz Horse, 7-5. For a guy named Bob Baffert. Let's see where we're going to go, guys. This is very interesting. I'm going 9-3-6. Pete's going 9-6-8. And Paul is going with the unbelievable story of Lonnie Briley, trainer, Cold Battle, 8-3-9. Before we do that, before we go through the race, guys, very quickly, I do want to bring this up as well. Let me remove that and bring this up. Right now, the Kentucky Derby points leaders right now. See, Tistastic, let me go full screen. 119. This is the first 10. Colbal does not need any points. He's already in the Derby. He's in this race. He's got 70. You have to go to the next 10 to see some other horses that are in this race, starting with Sandman, who's got 29 points, guys. I know Charlie Freeman's very interested in this horse. I think if he finishes fourth, he's in. Usually you need like 40. Fourth, I think, is 15 points. So I don't think Sandman really has to run a big race here to get into the Derby, although I'm sure the connections would like to see him run well. There are other horses that do need points, though, that are further down the list. Like Speed King's got to finish, I would say, probably the top 3. And so Speed King's going to be all out. I mean, he needs points to get into the Derby. And then there's others also. I think there's more to talk about too, if I recall. Let's see here. I thought there was one more. No, I guess not. But anyway, there's horses that need points, guys, in this race. So it's really going to be interesting to see what happens. All right, let me take this off
funny
the screen.
thing, Howard. Not to take this off. Funny thing in a race like this is, do you try and, like, if you have a horse like Cornucopian, if he turns out to be a monster, do you try and beat him and screw yourself, or do you try and just sit back and just get into the second or third spot? I think that's always a tough decision for the trainers, the jockeys. Like, what do you do? Do you really try and contend and burn your horse out, and you wind up finishing fifth, or you just say, I just want to get a spot and get in and see what happens?
I think it depends on how many points they need.
Well, that's what I mean. If you just sort of like, I need a 2, 3, or 4 to get in.
Right.
If I need to just finish in one of those, do I just go for that? But they're all competitive people, so I'm sure they want to win it, obviously. But
let's start with this, guys. I'm Jackson Muniz, our new co-host on Pacific Horse Players. Actually likes Speed King quite a bit in this race. Thinks he's underrated. Let me ask you guys a quick question first before we get into details. Do both of you agree with this pace projection that Cornucopian will have the lead over Speed King going to the first turn? Because I got to be honest, I think the whole key to this race, in a weird way, is Speed King. I think he is absolutely the key to this race. If they decide to gun and go quick, that's going to make Cornucopian work a lot harder. If Cornucopian outbreaks Speed King and gets the lead, I think it might be good night Irene. Do you guys agree with this pace projector? Paul, you first.
I would say so. I would love to know what the thinking was with Speed King last time. If anyone knows why they thought it was a good idea to take that horse back, just pass it on put it into the signal chat, and we'll all get it. Yeah, I do agree with that, Howard, and I think Speed King is going, and I won't be shocked. I think Cornucopian is more likely to get the lead, but I will not be shocked if Speed King inside of him does get the lead.
Hey, Paul, the thing with Cornucopian, Johnny V likes that first over trip, and he's on an outside post. So if Speed King goes, which I can't imagine Speed King not going unless he just doesn't break or something. And Johnny V is more than content to just sit off. And I think you have the perfect rider for that scenario who's not going to do anything stupid.
Yeah, as long as he can get a mile and an eighth.
Well, I'm not talking about whether that's going to help him win. I'm just talking purely, where is he from the, sort of the out of the gate to the stretch, and then we'll worry about if he can get the rest. Then
didn't Johnny V be very content sitting off and winning the Breeders' Cup Classic with Authentic? Do I remember that correctly, guys?
Yeah.
Right, it wasn't Authentic just sitting off and just like Johnny V's not like he's not going to get into a crazy speed duel. I think that's wrong. I think Speed King absolutely has the lead. I think he's a dead send here, guys. Which I'm not saying that's going to hurt Cornucopian. I just think that's what's going to happen. I do not anticipate a fast pace in this race. Sorry, let me rephrase. I don't anticipate a contested speed duel in this race at all. I think there's mainly 2 speeds, guys, and there's no speed on the inside really at all. So to me, it's gonna be 5-9, and I think it's gonna be that way for quite a while in this race. But we'll see. Pete, let's go to you first. Cornucopian. I mean, he's the buzz horse. He's been working unbelievably, outworking Barnes and Rodriguez, and I mean, it looks like he might be the most talented horse in Bob's barn right now. He's bred to go long. There's no knocks other than number 1, can he rate? Number 2, can he get the distance? I think people are knocking this horse too much with question marks. I think there's a lot to like here. I'm going with him. Some people might be surprised with that, Pete, because I'm always trying to find like a sneaky kind of. I think he sits off of Speed King and goes by at the right time and just wins. I think it's that simple Saturday. I
mean, that's the way I look at it, but I don't look at it as a definite one way or the other, but I just look at it and go, if this horse is good and he stretches, well, no, he's good. If he's good stretching out and getting this distance, and this move in his second start isn't too much for him, he just could be super talented. And if I'm playing a pick 5, I'm not losing a pick 5 when this horse wins by 7 and then you feel like an idiot. I'm not saying he's a dead single. I'm not saying he can't lose, but there's a lot of things to like. Baffert has made this. I mean, Baffert's stats are always crazy to begin with, but 40% wins, 79% in the money, second time starters in graded stakes. 41% wins, second time starters going sprinter route in graded stakes. He's 7 for 12 wins, 12 for 12 in the money, second time starters in graded stakes in the past like 15 months. So this is something that he's done before, and he's done it super successfully. And now he's doing it with a horse that maybe is ultra talented. So that combination is just dangerous, and it's hard to overlook. I mean, Paul, why don't you go? I mean, you're the one, you have the horse in third. Is it more of a too much too soon, or you're just trying to be a little contrarian and say, hey, if he can't get it, let's beat him and get a price here?
Paul, before you answer, I'm sorry, Paul, before you answer, the number 5 is Zero Sugar, who we talked about in the first leg, and the number 1 is Oi Gavalt. I just wanted to bring that up. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, I was going to say I go back to the late great Harvey Pack. We'll start with that. This horse is going to be even money, I think at best. Pete, those stats, if you add Oaklawn to those stats, Pete, they probably go up.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Believe it or not. So,
yeah,
no argument. He'll be an A for me, but it is the best story, Lonnie Briley, but boy, I think the Rebel has proven to be a pretty damn good race. And I think this horse ran really well. Lonnie Briley was kind of caught right in the middle. He was willing to train this horse up to the Derby. I think the layoff was probably a couple of weeks longer than he wanted. So he's running the horse. Obviously, doesn't need the points, but he's running the horse just because he thinks the horse needs to run. It doesn't need to go whatever it would be. February 23rd to the Derby is 11 weeks, 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So, but I just thought this horse, he obviously loves Oaklawn. He ran really well. Is there a chance that Cornucopia wires him and he comes around and ends up running second? Yes. But, if he's going to be in that 3-1, 7-2 range off races like he's run, I'm willing to take that chance.
Yeah,
According to Mark Bogaz, they wanted to rate number 5. That was on purpose last time, Paul. Obviously, that was a no.
Then I would applaud them. They did a goddamn good job because they rated him into an unwinnable position. Nice work.
And now you need points. Yeah, now you need points.
And you know what, guys? I'll tell you what also I like. And look, the horse is 7-5, but it's worth mentioning because everyone's like, he's got all these questions. Bob knew exactly what he was doing when he shipped this horse to Oaklawn in February. Like, that's an unusual move for him. It was on a big day, so I think he shipped in with Madacat Road, I believe, that day. But look, I'm sure he had this race in mind. The horse has already traveled. He's already run at Oaklawn. If he can get the distance, guys, I think he's going to be very tough here. I like him a lot. It's not like a slam dunk single, but I like him a lot. Let's talk about some others. The first horse I want to talk about is number 3, Publisher, who my good friend Paul also has second. Again, Asmussen can just find a way to run these big days. He did it with Magnitude. He did it with Tistastic in New Orleans. I'm not sure Publisher is going to win, Paul, but 2 back, he had a ridiculous trip. Last time, his trip was fine, but he had to sort of squeeze through a hole in the lane that was not real comfortable. And if you like Coal Battle, he was only 3 lengths off that. And if you really like Sandman, he was only a length and a half off that. And I got to be honest, visually, Paul, and we're not going to show the replay, I thought Publisher was running just as well as Sandman. It's not like he was losing ground. Gets Pratt, gets blinkers on. I think he's going to be more forward. I don't think he's winning, but I think at a decent price, he's a nice way to get second and spicing up your exotics.
Hey, Paul, Sandman killed him on the gallop out, though. So you got to toss him.
Oh, boy.
The
blinkers will take care of that, Pete. The
blinkers will fix that. Okay, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
I was all over Sandman in that last race, and you can have him. That's what I got to say about Sandman.
Whoa. Charlie's going to send you another
Charlie
bad
can
time.
have Sandman. This horse is, hey, anything can happen, but mind that bird won the Kentucky Derby, so I can't say he can't win the Derby, but you can have this horse as far as I'm concerned. I'll take Publisher over this horse, Howard. I agree with you.
Okay.
By the way, Asmussen, I never could pronounce his name right. 2 for 44, 3-year-old graded stakes dirt routes at Oaklawn, just on the win end. Just throw that out there. And 0 for 13, first time blinkers in a graded stakes race. So not a move that.
Yeah, that's not. I don't love that. I
gotta
be honest with you. I just don't love the equipment change going into a grade 1 in general. But
I guess you'd rather do it here than the Derby. But
you have to see, right? You have to see.
See what happens.
Brendan Walsh did it with Pretty Mischievous the race before the Oaks, and that worked out pretty well.
Worked. Yeah.
Paul, let's quickly talk about Cold Battle and get to your rant. I probably underestimate this horse. This is not only is a great story, he's pretty talented.
Yeah.
I just think the last 2 trips have been very good. Maybe he'll get another good one. He's got a break this time from the 8. It just feels to me he doesn't need the points. I could be completely wrong here, but I just don't have a Cold Battle vibe on Saturday, frankly, or in the Derby. I just think he's a nice horse and it's a great story. You like him more than I. You got him on top, Paul.
Well, this will be the case of, I missed the wedding and I'll be there for the funeral. Because I did not have this horse promptly beat me last time and the time before. So yeah, honestly though it isn't. I mean, I always root for the story. Obviously, it's what I do. But I just thought the horse ran really well, and I think that race came back okay. And I do agree with you, Howard, that he doesn't quote have to win, but I don't know how Lonnie Briley. This is, he's an older guy who has never been here before, may never get here again. Hopefully he does. I don't know how much he's going to screw around. I got to think this horse is going to be, fairly ready to go.
Yeah, I think so. I'm just not sure he's as talented as some of the others, but we'll see. Rosemary DeWitt, another new name. Thought this was a weak Arkansas Derby. I have to agree, guys. And usually it's a really good race. I'm not sure this is a strong one. I mean, Cornucopian could be anything, but guys, it's really going to be interesting to see. Weather may or may not play an issue. I know we're not going to get into it, but it might. We'll see if that is an issue at all. Well, guys, look. I mean, if it's raining, someone may like a wet, track. I don't know, but it's going to be very interesting to see who gets in. If a horse like Speed King, by the way, gets in the Derby, that is not good for Bob Baffert because that one is going to show a lot of speed. And same thing I would say with the Florida Derby, with like a horse with like disruptor guys or someone or Neoquos. If one of these horses gets in the Derby, I don't know if there's a ton of early speed right now in the Derby. So it's really going to be interesting to see. Let's get to our best bets, and then we'll get to Paul's rant. And we'll, of course, we have another show tonight, 9:30 Eastern, guys, for great race plays and really good late pick 4 on Sunday, by the way, at Santa Anita. Best bets. I'll just rattle them off here. We're going to go to Pete first. Pete's going to race 9. Is this the right one? Yeah. Race 9, Exacta Key Box. That's the 8. Zardoon in the main race with the 3-4. So he's going 8 with 3-4 and then 3-4 with 8. And then he's going to play a double in race 11. The 1, I'm forgetting
Bishop's
the name
Bay.
now. Bishop's
The 1
Bay.
is Bishop's Bay.
With, not with Quick
Simply
Kick.
Joking and Take Charge Milady.
But not with Quiet Side. I always miss Quick Kick and Quiet Side. I'm getting those
they're there
every single damn time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Take Charge Milady and the number
Simply
7.
Joking.
Simply Joking.
Simply
Thank
Joking.
you. Paul's going to go to race 10, a pick 3, 5 with 137 with 5. So Paul's going to single Wendelson, go a little bit deeper in the next that 6 furlong. I'm sorry, the 2-turn race with 137, and then single Quiet Side.
Correct. Yeah, it's Bishop's Bay, Ben Doog, and Maycock's Bay in the middle.
There you go.
With 2 singles around either side.
I'm going to make this very simple. 2 win bets. I'm very interested in Zardoon in the first leg at probably 6-8 to 1 with Pratt. And was that Aspis? No, Cox, I believe. And then I like Take Charge Milady and Brian Hernandez and Kenny McPeak in the fantasy. Paul's got a rant. So, Paul, it is time for his rant of the week. Paul, hit it.
3 parts to this week's rant, and I will be done. One is, how we talked about the tragedy with Hunter Myers last week, and thank God we didn't see that, but we did have a couple of scares this week. My good friend Junior Alvarado went down in the last race on Sunday. Fortunately, it seems like it's only 3 weeks, hairline fracture, but misses an unbelievable opportunity to ride the favorite in the Florida Derby. And then Tyler Gaffalione on the right before Keeneland, where he dominates a lot, breaks an ankle at Gulfstream the other day. So it's kind of a reminder of just how dangerous what these guys do is. And, I know we always talk about bad rides, and I'm as guilty as anyone, but I was on the phone with someone the other day talking about, it's just amazing the holes that they try to go through. These guys have balls as big as Pluto. So, we wish Junior a quick recovery and Tyler as quick as possible. But just a reminder of these jockeys, we should never take for granted what they do. Number 2, I'm going to shift to basketball, then I'll get back to horses. The NCAA is in the midst of ruining the best sporting event of the year. No number 11 seed or lower in the final Sweet 16 for the first time in 18 years. This NIL bullshit, the whole thing's going to implode. Florida Atlantic Final Four 2 years ago. Their 3 best players on 3 different Sweet 16 teams this year. They're ruining it. Yes, I am still watching and betting it. And number 3, I have my hat on, Howard. I'm getting very excited. You talked about the power picks. Next Wednesday is a big, big day. Opening, I think, is it Wednesday or Friday? Friday. I'm sorry, next Friday. Opening day at Keeneland. One of my favorite racetracks, and I got to tell you, I can make a cogent case for number 1. It's really that special, and we're looking forward to putting out those picks. And I know in 13 days, I'm looking forward to being in the bluegrass one more time.
Keeneland's amazing. And the Keeneland, nice job, Paul. Keeneland power picks, I can't recommend them enough. It's a lot more detailed than we have on a regular power picks. And we're not going to be always covering Keeneland on a regular power picks in the month of April because there's a lot of good racing going on. So again, we got the Keeneland power picks. We're also planning on doing the Keeneland Today shows in the mornings on Saturday and Sunday as well. And then Paul, Grade 1 Gamble, you are not the returning champion, but 2 years ago you won it, which is pretty damn impressive. I actually had the nice run last year. I didn't win it, but I finished in the top 10 in both the Friday and the Saturday contests and got my 2 NHC entries last week in Grade 1 Gamble. So the Grade 1 Gamble, my friend, has been very good at this podcast. Let's hope it's that way again. Pete, any final thoughts? By the way, Pete, I just wanted to clarify something from Paul. He brought up Pluto. Isn't Pluto the smallest planet?
Yeah, but it's bigger than relative to what he was talking about. It's.
I was thinking Pluto. Why wouldn't he use Jupiter or something?
Because I always like Pluto. He's one of my favorite Disney characters.
He is.
That's who I was talking about. The Disney character.
Character.
Didn't really sound that way. Pete, final quick thoughts.
It's a great weekend, and this is a great card. And then, like you said, we covered our other shows, covered Gulfstream, including one of the shows that you were on. And it's just a great day. The last couple weeks of preps is always super exciting, and hopefully we see some great races and we see some big horses emerge. Yeah,
it's going to be very exciting. Again, please look into our Team HHH and Keeneland, and the international power picks are going to be really good. I hope people subscribe to that as well. And then
Follow the Jockey was great. There were some big winners in Follow the Jockey. So if it's anything like those, then people are in for a treat. And we know people are a little skittish about handicapping international races, especially the big days. They want to bet, but they're not comfortable with the PPs or something. So this could be a nice guide for you. So definitely look into them.
And the first edition is going to be next weekend, Pete and Paul, and he's going to be talking about Dubai World Cup Day, which is a huge day. But anyway, not only subscribe to the YouTube channel, but again, it's mine and the whole podcast is X handle at HHH Racing Pod. So if you are on X, please subscribe to our X handle at HHH Racing Pod. For Pete Visco, Paul Howard, and this has been your host, Howard Kravitz, episode 402 of Picks and Ponies. Crush your bets in Arkansas for the Arkansas Derby at Oakland Park this Saturday. Great race plays coming up in half an hour here on Thursday, 9:30 Eastern. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Outfits. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.